Hi everyone, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to do something a little bit different. So today I went ahead and got the new Jaclyn Hill palette, Volume 2. It launched in the Morphe store, so I went ahead and picked it up. So I have the palette with me. I'll go ahead and show it to you guys. Show you guys some kind of quick clips of these shadows. The shadows are actually so pretty in person. Especially these shimmers. I'm like a shimmer gal, so I always tend to look at the shimmers first. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm actually gonna do a comparison and kind of like a dupe. I'm gonna put out a disclaimer because a lot of people like to see the title and just comment and not actually even watch the video. So I decided that I would compare the Jaclyn Hill palette to the James Charles palette, which launched last year in 2019. They're both from Morphe, so I figured why not compare them. I am aware that Jaclyn Hill did say that her palette itself has a different type of formula, like her own formula. So of course, they're not gonna be exactly the same because they're two different formulas, although they are from the same company. Obviously, it's not gonna be the same because I feel like this would be a great way to kind of just shop your own stash. So this is in no way comparing the two creators together. I like them both very much. I watch both of their videos. They are both very talented creators and they work really, really hard. And I know that they've worked really hard on both these palettes. So I'm just sort of kind of giving you another option if you could create a similar look. So what I wanted to do was do the Jaclyn Hill on one eye, and then on the other eye, I would do the JC palette. So let's go ahead and get into it. I just wanted to give you guys my reason on why I'm comparing the two palettes.
What was the reason? I had a reason. What was the reason? What was the reason? I just explained the reason. What was the reason?
Okay, you guys, so these are the two compared together. Obviously, they're not the same. Do we have some similar shades? Yes. And could we create like a similar look? Probably. So let's go ahead and get into it. So in today's video, I'm actually gonna mainly focus on doing the colorful shadows and comparing those two together. I like to zoom into my videos a lot, so we'll bring it in. And then I'll do the same thing that I did in my other video where I compared them side to side on my finger so you guys can kind of see the differences between the two. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so whenever I work with very bright shadows, I usually like to work with the P. Louise base, so I have that on my eyes already. I worked it really into my eyes because I do have creases, so I wanted to make sure that nothing kind of snuck into those creases and kind of messes up the shadow. Okay, you guys, so for the first shadow that I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the yellow. So both of these palettes have very vibrant yellows. I actually really like the one from the JC palette. Alright, you guys, so this is it on my fingers. So this one right here is the James Charles one, and this one right here is the Jaclyn Hill one. So I can tell that the Jaclyn one is pulling warmer tones, whereas the James Charles one is pulling more cooler, neutral tones. Pretty on par with Jaclyn Hill's palette. As you guys can see, Jaclyn Hill's palette is warm. It has those bright tones of orange, pink, red, and you also have the neutral tones that are warmer as well. So in a way, it really makes sense for that yellow to be warmer. So right here we have B from the James Charles palette, and then I'll start off with that and then we can do the Jaclyn Hill. And of course the text will stay up there throughout the video so you guys know exactly what I'm doing. So let's just bring that into the inner corner. So we're just going to add a B right here into the inner corner, and I'm going to kind of blend it. And I'm gonna blend it very softly. I'm always holding my brush like this and just going in very soft. I'm gonna dip into the palette a couple times to really build up the shade, and I will do the same thing for the JH using the same exact method. Now we're gonna go in with the Jaclyn one. We're going to build up the yellow. We're gonna go in slowly. I forgot to mention this shade is named No Joke. I always really like watching those videos where people explain why they named their shade names a certain name, because I feel like it gives you like a little bit of an insight into their personality. Now if I were to make my own palette, some of the shade names would probably be Chismosa, Tengo Chisme, Pendejadas, and La Chancla. And it would be in a chancla shape palette. Wow, you can definitely see the difference between the two. This one is more of a cooler tone, whereas this one is pulling a bit warm. So so that makes sense that Jaclyn's would be a bit, little bit more warmer because her palette is more overall warm, I feel like. Like overall, it's a very warm palette, so it would make sense that the yellow would also be warm, and it makes it very cohesive. So I like that, I think that's cool. Let's go ahead and jump into some other shadows. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and jump into the next shadow. I'm gonna do like a red. No, wait, no. Orange and then red, yeah. So this one right here is Rusted from the JC palette. This one right here is My Man from the JH palette. So the Jaclyn Hill one is more of a neon orange, like a more bright orange, whereas this one is a bit more darker and muted, but they are kind of similar. I would say these two are kind of similar and the most similar oranges in the palette. So, okay you guys, so for my brushes, we're gonna use Morphe brushes. This is a Morphe M433 brush, same exact ones, so yeah. Let's go in with the James Charles with the shade Rusted right up next to B and blend the two shades together. Alright you guys, so I really didn't have to dip back into the palette. That actually applied very nicely and very bright and pigmented. So I'll go ahead and apply My Man into the JH side. Both of these shades are actually really good. Yeah, these shades are actually really good. They're very pigmented, easy to use, very blendable. Both of them are very good. So there's definitely differences between the two, especially when you do the finger swatches. However, on the eye, you could kind of create a similar look. So let's go ahead and jump into the reds because I'm very excited to see the differences between the two. So this one right here is You're Kidding from the JC palette. Put Heart on my finger. So let's compare these two just because I feel like they're a bit more similar. Yeah, so let's go in with You're Kidding on the JC side and then we'll go on with Heart on in the JH side. I'm gonna tap off and then slowly build it up. All right, let's go in with Heart on. So I'll give you guys like a quick little first impressions of what I'm seeing so far with the three shades. It seems like the James Charles one, except for that yellow was very bright, but his more colorful ones are a bit more muted, whereas the Jaclyn Hill one to me feel very bright, like almost neon. I am not saying at all that it is better than the other. I'm just saying that what I'm noticing. So yeah, what I'm gonna do is just blend the two yellows from both the palettes together just to kind of make this blend a little bit nicer, and then we're going to cut the crease and I'll add a lot more shades. Alright you guys, so I went ahead off camera and cut the crease. I cut the crease very high up. I did this because I want to add a lot of shades. You guys already went ahead and saw what the yellow, orange, and red look like on the eye compared to each other, and I already kind of let you guys know what I thought. So I decided let me just go pretty high up, and then my hand kind of just did its own thing and just kept going higher and higher and higher. So I'm going to compare the two whites in the palette. This one is the JC Flashback shade, and then this one is from JH Certified. I would say the Jaclyn Hill one is more off-white and not as bright. So that's really the differences between the two. So I'm grabbing my Sigma eye shading brush in E55. This one has the JC Flashback and this one has the JH Certified. You guys can see on the brushes as well that this one is a bit more stark white and brighter, whereas this one is a bit more off-white. Let's go ahead and add that into the inner corner right here. White in the JC palette, I definitely do have to kind of dip into the palette to really get it to be a lot more vibrant. I've noticed that before, like I've had to sort of dip into it a couple times to sort of build it up. Now let's go in with Certified on the JH side. Okay you guys, so once applied, I feel like they're both kind of similar. I feel like the only difference I'm really seeing with the JC one, it's like more of a true white, whereas hers is more of a bone white. These, I don't know, I feel like these are okay to me, just because the white from the ABH Riviera is just such a stark white. Alright you guys, so right here I have Skip from the JC palette, and then right here I have Tipsy Girl from the JH. Definitely similar, not exactly the same. I would say Skip is more of a lighter neon pink, whereas this one is more of a dark neon pink. First, I'm going to tap off Skip a little bit before adding that onto my eye. Alright you guys, so that is Skip on the eye. Let's go in now with Tipsy Girl. Actually, on the eyes, they do look quite similar, actually. So that is a good dupe if you really like that shade Tipsy Girl from the JH palette. This one Skip, when you do apply it onto the eyes, is very, very similar. But it's weird because the swatches, Tipsy Girl looked a little bit, like a hint darker. But it's funny what it ends up looking like when you do apply it onto the eyes. I would say these two are the most similar. Out of all the shades that I tried on, these two are definitely very, very similar. Yeah, okay. So let's go ahead and now go into the purples. This one right here is Beautiful from the JC palette. This one right here is Therapy Sesh from the JH palette. Obvious differences between the two. This one's more of a neon, almost like a pinkier tone type of shade, and then this one's more of like a deeper purple. So alright you guys, so that is Beautiful on the eyes. Now let's go in with Therapy Sesh on the JH side. So obviously differences between the two. You can see in the JC side that that shade Beautiful is definitely a lot darker, and then you could see that that shade Therapy Sesh is just a lot lighter and a bit more neon. So okay you guys, so we're gonna be jumping into the next shade. So right here from the JC palette we have Love That, and then here we have Oh Hello from the JH palette, and then here on my middle finger I have Stay True. And the reason I swatched these two together is because it almost feels like this one right here, Love That, is a baby between these two. I'm going to drop this finger down, and sorry to flip you guys off, but this one right here is Love That, and then this one right here is Stay True. And you know what? These are actually more similar, and when I look at the pan, they actually look really, really similar. So we're gonna do JC, Love That, and we're gonna do, and then we're gonna do from the JH, Stay True. All right, let's go ahead and put Love That right next to Beautiful. Alright you guys, so this is what it looks like. This one right here is Love That. I actually really love that shade. I need to start using my palettes a lot more. That is why, I feel like this is why I'm kind of doing this video, is because so many times we have so many palettes and we're like, there's such good shades in them, but because we have so many, we forget that they have such good shades in them. Let's go ahead, jump into the JH side, and let's add Stay True. These are the two shades side by side. So this is weird to me, but for some reason Stay True is darker on the eye than it looks on the pan. So this is definitely a shade that is almost kind of buildable and becomes darker. Whereas here on the JC side, I don't know if you guys can notice, but it seems like Love That to me was kind of like what I thought Stay True would be, but yeah, to me, I think they're kind of similar, honestly. You guys, let's jump into the last shade. Okay, you guys, so right here we have Spooky from JC. Right here we have Temptress from JH, and these are the comparisons between the two. They are very, very similar. The only thing I'm going to point out is, I'm not sure if you guys can see it on the finger, but Temptress from the JH palette has slight little hints of glitter. Okay, you guys, popping in Spooky right here. Now we're gonna go in with Temptress into the Jaclyn Hill palette. I think I'm gonna have to clean up this area underneath a bit. Alright, you guys, I definitely have to say that I think Jaclyn Hill's black is definitely way more pigmented, and you want to go in with very, very little. His is a bit more muted, definitely, and it was actually easier for me to work with. I do like a very pigmented black like that though, because blacks are just great to have in a palette. White and black is amazing to have in a palette. You can darken any shade, and then with the white you can lighten any shade and get like that specific shade that you want. So I really enjoy having a black and a white in a palette. Alright, you guys, so I'm going to get towards the end of the video. All I'm going to do is add some shimmer underneath the lower lash line. These are the most similar, so let's go ahead and add that into the lower lash line. So another shimmer from the JC palette that I'm going to add into the lower lash line. This one right here is Shook. Then right here we have Palo. Whenever I think of Palo, I just think of the Lizzie McGuire movie. You remember the guy Palo? Okay, anyways. Here we have Shook. We're gonna add that into the lower lash line. I'm gonna add it right here. And then right here we'll do Palo from the JH underneath here. Now we're gonna go into Artistry. I'm gonna use the same brush. I cleaned it off, and I'm going to add Artistry from the JC onto my lower lash line right here. Okay, we're adding Good Place now onto this side, and that's it. We're gonna finish up this look. I'm over it. I'm over. Alright, you guys, so this is the finished look. I went ahead and just kind of cleaned it up. The only thing that I am wearing on my eyes right now is the new Fenty Beauty mascara, and then I went ahead and just put some black liner in my waterline. I used the e.l.f. one. Okay, you guys, so let's get into it. Let's get into my final thoughts. What is the chisme? What is the 411? Let's talk about it. All right, you guys. I'm like out of breath from filming for so long. All right, let's talk about the differences between the two. And like, I mean, looking at my eyes right now, obviously there's very slight differences, but they do look kind of similar. So yeah, you could kind of create a similar look, I feel like, to an extent. I think if you already have the Jaclyn Hill Part 1 and then you have the James Charles palette, then you may not need the Jaclyn Hill Part 2. However, the Jaclyn Hill Part 2, the biggest differences that I noticed, and I already said it throughout the video, is that some of the shades in here are very neon. Like, they're very different than the colorful shades in the James Charles one. Jaclyn Hill one, when it comes to the colorful shadows, tend to be a little bit more neon. That's like kind of the main difference I noticed between the two. I have to say, neon is a hard color to formulate. I've tried it with other palettes and it is really, really hard to use, but I think Jaclyn Hill did a really, really good job in getting that to work and blend well together. But I feel that if, you know, you just wanted some colorful shades, you already have the pinks and the oranges. I feel like on my eyes, I was kind of able to create a similar look to the two. Obviously, you can see on the JH one, this one is just a tad bit more brighter, neon and vibrant, where this one is a little bit more muted. but they are a little bit similar. So that's kind of the differences I saw between the two. I think it would be interesting to compare the neutral shades now. Yeah, overall, I really like the way both palettes perform. My reason to do this is, you know, we have so many palettes, so it's good to sometimes just shop your stash and kind of compare old palettes to new palettes. And the reason I haven't picked up the James Charles palette is because I'm constantly just always reviewing so many palettes on here, so I kind of forget about what I already have. And then when I was using the James Charles one, I was like, wow, this is a really good palette. Like, why haven't I used it in so long? It's because, you know, I'm always buying new palettes. So yeah, so I feel like this was something really cool to do. Of course, if you want to go get the Jaclyn Hill palette, go ahead and get it. Overall, I think the color story is great. I really like the palette. It blended really nice. The shimmers in it are very dimensional, which is something I really like. Okay everyone, so that is pretty much it. Make sure to subscribe. I will be doing a lot more looks using this palette. So if you're interested in seeing that, then go ahead and subscribe. It's free. And I do post a lot. I post like at least 2 to 3 times a week, so definitely subscribe. I am very consistent and I always like to hear your guys' feedback, and I do a lot of videos that you guys like to see as well. So yeah, go ahead, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and that is pretty much it. I hope everyone has a really great week, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye everyone.